Guys, big breaking news coming out. NATO is preparing to confront Russia with limited US support. The worst case scenario is now a possible one. European troops fighting off an invasion largely alone. This goes to tell you that they're not willing to stand with Donald. You guys already know Donald is working on a peace deal. In the European, well, they have something else in mind. And it seems like they want to continue this biblical war. So we're going to see what's going on here, guys. Before I start, for those of you that want to send us letters or prayer requests, you can send it to me, US Santiago, or my wife, Jessica Santiago, at 3432 US Highway 19, number 2, Holiday, Florida, 34691. And for those of you that want to support and contribute to the channel, we do have the Cash App link and the PayPal link in the comments box and also the description box. Once again, thank you so much for your support. It's mind-blowing that you have NATO is saying, well, we're going to continue this biblical war. Meanwhile, the U.S. is working on ending this biblical war. All right, so we're going to see what's going on here. And yeah, just hit that like button, guys. Thank you so much. A French Cayman helicopter flies low over a lush Transylvanian valley, dropping 3 soldiers onto the grass. The hills erupt with the boom of Caesar cannons and Leclerc battle tanks under NATO command. The war game in November offered a glimpse of the alliance's likely future as the U.S. president reduces U.S. deployments in Europe. And the natural defensive line of the Carpathian Mountains, a full brigade level deployment of European soldiers under French command, was defending the continent largely without the U.S. All right, so again, they're going to continue this biblical war. And again, it's, that's up to them. We're trying to work something out with ending this biblical war and bringing, peace to the world. But when spoken of peace and safety, then sudden destruction shall follow. The urgency of those preparation will be underlined this week as Washington deepens outreach to Russia with Steve Witkoff's trip to Moscow, as the White House pushes for an end to the war in Ukraine. Its warning this month to shut off remaining military support for Kiev raised the possibility of European powers having to defend Ukraine and perhaps even the rest of the eastern frontier with limited U.S. backing. So again, we're not sending stuff. We're not sending any more equipment. So Europe is saying, well, we're going to back them. Again, we're going to back them up. Go ahead and back up Ukraine and see what happens. It's just not going to end well. This biblical war is just going to get a lot worse. And those Europeans, man. It says here, it's by no means clear the Europeans would succeed. Romania and other European officials at the exercise in Santiago, about 260 kilometers, that's 162 miles, north of Bucharest by road, voiced concern about how long it would take for NATO allies to make it to the front due to the constraint of transport infrastructure that could take several weeks, they said, leaving Romania's land forces to fend off an assault largely alone as reinforcements arrive. It says here on Europe's eastern flank, the cost of failure can be seen just next door in Ukraine, which is still under assault by Putin forces. Nightly air raids have taken thousands of civilians and wrecked infrastructure, while the bear strikes in the east have turned once peaceful towns into smoldering ruins. Now it says here, meanwhile, Putin war is already spilling over the border into Europe in dangerous ways, from drone and missile incursions to cases of sabotage and arson for which politicians blame Moscow. Now, German Foreign Minister Johann warned on Tuesday that according to Berlin's intelligence, the bear could be able to strike a NATO member in the next 4 years. So they believe that the bear is going to strike possibly, who knows, maybe Poland, perhaps Latvia, Lithuania, one of the NATO members. As Europeans witness their neighbors' destruction, the US has acted on months of signals that it would reduce its military presence on the continent to focus on Asia, asking its allies in Europe to take care of their own defense. Romania, which hosts several NATO bases, saw the U.S. troops it hosts reduced from 1,700 to about 1,000, Washington announced late October, with withdrawals also planned from Bulgaria, Slovakia, and Hungary. The U.S. Secretary of Defense Pete Hegseth said the move was coordinated with NATO Secretary General Mark and allies. Officials in Bucharest publicly said they understood U.S. reasoning for the decision. However, in private, several said they weren't happy with it, requesting anonymity to speak on sensitive matters. Some very powerful people in that room. So once again, it says here, behind closed doors, European officials have been fighting hard to convince their U.S. allies not to withdraw forces. Washington has tried to assuage its partners' fears, saying it won't leave them out in the cold, a continent struggling to adapt to a more volatile world may not be swayed by such reassurances. Here's a map, a picture. Romania. NATO is preparing to confront Russia with limited U.S. equipment. Man, Romania? Possibly Romania. It could be it. Or Latvia. So it says here, as their troops bid farewell to an uncertain continent, the U.S. officials have been eager to praise their European allies' capabilities. This is a perfect example of the Europeans handling things on their own, said U.S. Ambassador to NATO Matthew, skip all that information, but there's a catch. The war game at Sinku focused on land combat, in which NATO European members are self-sufficient. Even here, the U.S. was present, offering the airspace control and logistical support in which they be essential in any large-scale conflict. It says here it's an example of the burdens facing Europe should it stand alone when it comes to so-called strategic enablers, namely air and missile defense, long-range precision strikes, and intelligence. The continent still depends on the Americans, still depend on us. Here's the thing, guys. If Donald would have been commander in 2020 to 2024, we would not be talking about this. There wouldn't have been any war. But people, it seems like a lot of people chose Joe. When Joe came in, all hell broke loose. And now we are here dealing with this biblical war that Donald's trying to end. But it's just the damage is done. Joe really, really took the entire world into this arena battlefield that is hard to end this biblical war. Logistics are a case in point. NATO Secretary General Mark reassured Romania that in the case of a strike, allies would rush to its aid. But General Maxim, commander of a French armored brigade deployed to Romania, complained about delays in a 10-day voyage to the country. The journey via Greece and Bulgaria involved 5 planes, 11 trains, and around 15 convoys, he said. 3 days could have been saved if his convoy hadn't needed to stop at borders. Now it says here, France's military made similar complaints during the exercises in Sinco, Romania 3 years ago. It's the kind of delay which triggered the EU to propose slashing more red tape last week in a bid to free up movement of military equipment across the bloc. When asked in Sinco how long Romania could hold out before reinforcement arrived, Army Chief General said his country will have a similar capacity to Ukraine if struck. Because Romania is not like very powerful military country. So if Romania is the next one, this will be a problem. This will be a big problem. All right. So it's if Putin ends the war in Ukraine and then goes for Romania, which I doubt it. I don't think that's going to happen. Romania is a member of NATO. I mean, it would be catastrophic. It would just be really bad. And Donald would not be commander. I believe there's going to be a left that's going to take the spotlight in 2028. It says here to booster its forces, Romania is using EU funds earmarked to enable the bloc to repel a Russian strike by 2030. Like I said, Donald, it's not going to be in the spotlight. SAFE also allows recipients to revitalize local arms industries, a priority for Bucharest, Romania officials say. Now, they emphasize that Europe can't stand alone without its military technology, a problem which isn't solved by buying U.S. kit off the shelf. In other words, they need us. They need America. We need you, America. We can't do this alone, America. Meanwhile, German defense giant, I'm going to skip that name, is leading a series of multi-billion euro EU-backed investment to build production facilities in Romania and Bulgaria in a bid to plug the continent's critical shortage of ammunition. Until it can rearm, Romania is looking for another ally to put boots on the ground. Can it be Turkey? The country's president said talks were ongoing with unnamed allies about a potential replacement of the U.S. troops. The country isn't trying to reverse the U.S. decision on the withdrawal, Romania said. But again, U.S. is basically, little by little, is just leaving. So I do believe other allies might send troops. France is now in the spotlight after years of urging lukewarm Europeans to wean off military dependency on the U.S. Paris is seeing its predictions come through. Dan will travel to France in the near future to discuss defense cooperation, including a possibly military presence in Romania. 1 week later, at the, I'm going to skip that name, air base, Romania and American officials and soldiers tried to show a united front by celebrating Thanksgiving together. But their meal was interrupted when the Romanian defense minister had to leave early. Another drone had breached the country's airspace, standing in a muddy field in Sinco before French-made military equipment. French four-star general said he's confident Europe could prevail, even without the U.S. on side. The direction of history is a progressive disengagement of the U.S. from the European continent, he said, with assistance from Arena Vaku. All right. So that is the latest information there. NATO is preparing to confront Russia with limited U.S. support. At the very end, U.S. is trying to end this war and trying to bring peace. In other words, Donna's saying, you guys want to go ahead, that's your problem. I'm not Joe. I'm not gonna be dragging my country into WWE stuff. It ain't gonna happen. You're again, NATO believe that they're gonna be the next one. I doubt it. I don't think Vladimir is gonna go after them, but they're just preparing for worst case scenario. Thank you so much for watching, guys. Check out the video I posted today. The links will be in the comments box. And again, I want to thank every single one of you for your support. And again, make sure you share this one here. Give it a like. Anyway, thank you so much for watching. God bless you all. Till next time later. Peace.